Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. I'm bringing this up in this video because it seems to be a common theme amongst people who listen to my videos. And it's in reference to a comment that somebody put up about on my video about is Raj Patel Maitreya. And they said that Benjamin Creme 100% said that he would be speaking with a stutter. And I'm not trying to be defensive because I know he never said anything like this, but go back and look through the books that Benjamin Creme put out. Go back and read the magazines, look at his videos, and pull out something where he said that he has a stutter. You know, you're not going to be able to find it because it's not there. Now, the problem is that we all are guilty of this. So I'm not pointing any fingers at somebody else. I do this too. In fact, I've done this with Benjamin Creme a number of times where I was convinced he was saying something or had said something or I had read something in one of his books. And when I brought it up to him, he, in a very Benjamin Creme-like way, blasted me for it and said how that was not true. And I was convinced I was right. And I went back and I looked and I was wrong. And so we all think what we think is and what we remember is real, but there's a lot of times where it's total illusion. Even Benjamin Creme talked about it for himself. He said he had a deep meditation one time where he remembered a past lifetime and he was standing in a church. He was like a priest or something like this, and there was a soldier there and he was blocking the door to the church, and he said something about, you know, not in God's house or something, and then the soldier stabbed him. And he remembered it for years that it was his lifetime. And it wasn't until his master said some years after that that it actually wasn't his lifetime. He was remembering somebody else's lifetime. And so we all have a tendency to see things and think they're real, and therefore remember it differently than what it really was. And that's the reason why I put up a video a while ago, but I'll bring it back up again. But that's the reason why it's such a need for detachment. We have to all be detached from what we think is right, because a lot of times what we think is right is not right at all. In fact, actually, Benjamin Creme said that our greatest strength that we see in ourselves is often the greatest weakness that's holding us back. And one of the masters, the master Jawal Kahul, was a good example of this. He was so devoted to the master KH and he thought it was his greatest strength for lifetimes. He thought it was his greatest strength until the master KH gave him some tough love and said, no, not only is your devotion not, needed or wanted by him, it's the greatest thing that's holding him back. And according to Benjamin Creme, it held back the Master KH for lifetimes. So it really, we all have to look at our memory with detachment. That's myself included. So I'm saying this also for myself. So I'm not trying to, make somebody wrong for it. But the thing that you need to look for in terms of, first of all, you shouldn't be looking for Maitreya on TV anyway. Maitreya doesn't want devotees, and he doesn't want people looking for him on TV. So the time will come when we will all see him on TV, and that timing is when it happens. Now, what you should be looking for and recognizing is what he is saying, and the heartfelt message behind it is really what you should be looking for. His need for sharing, his need for justice, his need for all those things, for peace, for the need to stop destroying our environment and so forth. Now, I don't know if he's speaking on those things right now in that way, or he's speaking in a way that it's very quiet still, but he knows the reactions of people when they see him, and he doesn't like those kind of reactions. So he wants you to want for the world what he wants for the world: justice, sharing, and peace. or or sharing justice and peace, because it has to be sharing first, right? That's the top priority. And so looking for whether somebody has a stutter or not or whatever, it just kind of cracks me up. Now, Raj Patel, like I said, I don't view it as my job to point people away from somebody else that is not Maitreya, but I have a very, very, very dear friend who lives in New York, who knows all about Benjamin Creme, has been doing transmission meditation and been involved in this work for a long time. Actually, not only did she meet Raj Patel years before all this went down, it was a couple years before, maybe 2008, I think is when she said, but spent like a whole weekend with him. And she saw him as he's an average guy. And this was before Maitreya was out open in the world, because he was, for the longest time, was in London, living in London, and was not going out and meeting groups. His first interview was in January of 2010. So prior to that, he wasn't doing interviews like that. He wasn't meeting and giving talks to people out in the public. He was giving talks in London, but by invitation only. And I don't know if that had been going on just through the 80s and early 90s, or it had been going on all the way till now. I don't know, but it's just, he wasn't out and open like that. So it couldn't be Raj Patel. And then to fit the bill with what Benjamin Creme had said about Maitreya is that Raj Patel said over and over again he wasn't Maitreya. It's so funny. And even Benjamin Creme said he wasn't Maitreya. And yet people to this day still believe that Raj Patel is Maitreya. Now, it's your right. You can believe whatever you want to believe, And to me, it's just kind of silly, because he's not going to go around saying stuff like that. And if you listen to Raj Patel, a lot of what he says is very in line with what Maitreya is saying. So I can see why people might get it mixed up, right? But he says it in a way that it's very intellectual. And Maitreya is not an intellectual. I mean, he's smart, obviously, but he's probably a lot smarter than all of us, right? But at the same time, when he speaks, he's going to be speaking like he's talking to a third grader, where you can't really add to it or take away what he's saying to make it any better. And the example that I could come up with, the closest example, is when you read Benjamin Creme's master's articles about whatever topic it is, it's perfect the way it's written. It's like Shakespeare. It's like a Mozart piece, or the Leonardo da Vinci's The Mona Lisa. I mean, you can't take away anything from it, and you can't add a sentence or two to make it any better. It is perfect as it is, and it's so simple that you can really read it. And the times that I met Maitreya, I didn't have to really try to remember what he said. I just remembered what he said. It was just there for me. It like hit me directly in the heart. I didn't have to think about it. And I know that people who, when they see Maitreya, like there's been times where other people have seen him, they've had the same experience with him. So look for don't look for Maitreya on TV, but if you see somebody on TV and you think it might be Maitreya, look for him for that quality. Because that's probably the way, even though he's not really speaking directly about this stuff, he's speaking more indirectly, I bet you it has the same kind of resonance, like, whoa, where you can't really taggle with it in your mind. And it's just it's truth. I mean, Benjamin Creme's master said, his shining armor will be truth itself. You can sit there and argue with him all you want if you see him on TV, or these, I'm sure pundits will be doing that all the time, but they won't be able to get anywhere with it, because he's going to be speaking the truth in a very loving way. And he'll still love the people who are against him on TV, and love the people who are standing outside the studio protesting and all that kind of stuff. He'll still love them the same way. And that's the quality you need to be looking for in that person. Now, is Raj Patel helping humanity? Absolutely. In his own way, he's helping humanity along. But he doesn't believe anything in this stuff. In fact, he thinks it's all crazy nonsense, So I wouldn't even look to him for that anymore. And just be detached from your reactions to things. Be detached from your memory. And that's where true freedom comes in. Maitreya says the only way to realize the self is you have to be detached. You have to have honesty of mind and sincerity of spirit and be detached. That's it. And it's hard to do. It's hard to look back at yourself and go, maybe I was wrong about that. Or maybe that's not true. Or maybe what I believed isn't real. And I'm doing it all the time too, believe me. Don't think that I think that I'm perfect on this at all, because I'm not, and I have to go back and question my motives and look at these things and try to be detached, and I was attached about that, and I really wanted that to happen. And so, I need to kind of detach myself from it as well. And I put up a video about the time that I was doing radio interviews and how attached I was to the results there. And what was Maitreya's lesson to me? Be detached from results. It's the same thing. Now, Maitreya's teaching on it was a lot easier for me to take than when Benjamin Creme would snap at me. And I had to be detached from that too, because it wasn't personal. You know what I mean? But I had to chew on some of his stuff that Benjamin Creme said to me for years before I was able to look at it in a different way and go, yeah, he's actually right. But it takes courage to step aside from your own beliefs on things and look and go, you know what, I might not be right. But thank you, and I look forward to talking to you again. And as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.